was about 1 year ago, December 23rd, 2022, the night I spent in my car. To go back a little bit, I had been experiencing pain down both of my legs, especially on the right initially, then on the left, and by the time I got to December 23rd, it was on both legs. It was just absolutely miserable. Well, on that night, I hobbled upstairs because I hadn't slept in my bed for almost 6 months. Hobbled upstairs, went to Michelle, and I was in tears, and I said, I can't take it anymore. The pain's beyond comprehension. And I couldn't take any more pain meds. I had taken the full allotment for that night already. So we were brainstorming, and she said, well, you mentioned that sometimes you can get in your car and you could potentially find a spot that would at least be tolerable. I said, that's a great idea. And I went to my car, got my down jacket, heavy shoes, heavy pants, put my mittens on, and tried to find a position in my car. And I did for about 6 hours. Now, I didn't sleep much, maybe 2 hours at the most, probably. But what's significant is what I'm about to say next. And I am not proud of what I'm going to say, but it's how I felt. It's what happened. At that time, I really did not care if I lived or if I died. I know that's hard to hear, but there might be some of you watching this who understand exactly how I feel. Now, I'm a man of faith, and I believe that God can conquer anything. And I remember my prayers to him at that time. I said, Father, look, if it's my time to go, please take me. I'd love to be in your glory. But if it's not, then please give me the strength to get through this very trying time. Well, let's fast forward to July 6th of this past year, 2023. So on that day, I went in for surgery. I later learned that all the pain was from nerve pain in my back. So Dr. Paul Jeffords and his team performed something called a bilateral discectomy between L4 and L5. And that was in the morning of July 6th. By that night, for the first time in almost a year, I was able to sleep in my bed. And I had no leg pain. I remember that evening when I said my prayers, I looked up to God and I just looked up to my Father in heaven and said, Father, this is a magnificent blessing. I cannot thank you enough for helping me to get through this. Well, things were not over yet. 9 weeks later, I'm playing in a golf tournament, the member guest at St. Ives, with my partner who's played with me 17 different years in a row. And oh my gosh, I hadn't played golf since before the surgery. And he and I win our flight. Unbelievable. But I knew there was still more to do. My right knee was having problems. I knew it was a meniscus. And sure enough, Dr. Scott Mahan confirmed after he read the MRI, I not only had a tear in the meniscus, I had a tear on both the inside and the outside of my meniscus. Well, just November 14th, a month and a half ago, he repaired it. So it's now been 5.5 weeks, and I feel fantastic. So thank you to both Dr. Cody, who got me to Dr. Jeffords, who then Dr. Mahan, so it's worked out. But, there's so much I had to go through to get to that point. So last week I was having dinner with a friend of mine, and he said to me, Greg, through all this, what did you learn? And I said, that was easy. I learned humility. He said, humility? Why would you say humility? I said, it's easy, because I learned how quickly things can change. See, I've been athletic all my life. I was a swimmer in high school and college. I did the Marine Corps Marathon in 1984. I've done the Atlanta Half Marathon 3 different times. And I've been athletic. But between 2020 and when Dr. Jeffords did the surgery, I was feeble. I couldn't walk down to the end of my driveway and back to my house. That's how bad it was. So, humility. And you might ask now, well, Greg, where do you go from here? I said, it's very simple. 4 very important things. Number 1, my wife. Every chance I get, I want to have 1 or 2 dance steps with her. I want to be able to embrace her and squeeze her so that she knows how much I love her. And every night, I want to give her a kiss on her beautiful, soft lips. Number 2, every time I see a friend of mine or an acquaintance, I want to be able to look them square in the eye, not just ask, how are you doing? But rather, I want to give them an embrace, or I want to shake their hand firmly. I want them to be able to know, without me having to say anything, that I'm glad to see them. Number 3, I want to be able to pray with and for others every chance that I'm given, because I know people were praying for me when I was going through this. And lastly, I want to be a servant. As long as God's going to keep me on this world, I want to serve in his kingdom. So where do I finish? Dr. Schuller, some of you might remember Dr. Robert Schuller, he finished every sermon and every presentation with the following, and that's what I want to close with. God loves you, and so do I.